So, one question that I'm sure a lot of people are curious about, even though I think they should know the answer to, I should say, is what is Palcomix? And that's Palcomix. Well, I'll tell you what it is, and do not worry, this is not a Patreon exclusive, DeviantArt exclusive kind of deal, if you have the mature settings on DeviantArt, that is. This is, straightforward. But what Palcomix is a site that's been around for quite some time. I think it's almost been about almost 2 decades that it's been in existence, almost, I should say. I'm not really sure. I think it might have been over 2 decades. It's around over to, I would say it's kind of in between of almost and over. Or I would say, let's just put it this way, I'll say around. It's just been around 2 decades in existence, close to that. Close to around 2 decades. And Palcomix is one of those websites that basically allows, artists, the freedom, writers and artists, the freedom to bring adult stories to life of certain fictional characters that obviously from an official standpoint would never happen. It allows them to do that. It allows them to do that, get creative, put the characters in scenarios that you wouldn't expect, kind of make it, sometimes base the stories in alternate realities and make them like one-shoots, or one-offs, or sometimes do like a series under the same name with the same characters or different characters. And over the past 2 decades, or at least close to around the past 2 decades, I should say, Palcomix has become very, very popular. It's become very, very popular, and it's given way to a lot of other sites. You have sites that sell sculptures based on how the characters are represented, in these stories. And it's not just sculptures, it's like blankets, it's, cups, mugs, t-shirts. They've opened that avenue to be opened, or to come into existence. They've allowed that avenue to, come into existence. They've also been able to link up to similar websites that were inspired by them, if you will, so that people can see other places where these kind of stories exist at, where they can, see these stories maybe even for free at times, or whatever, or maybe not pay as much, as the old saying goes. But yeah, Palcomix has done a lot of that. They've done a lot of that. Now, of course, the one thing that's kept them and made them very, very popular with audiences of, adult age, obviously. But what's made them very popular, and I think has allowed them to exist on the internet, is the fact that a majority of the stock, when it comes to the webcomics, based on different franchises or even original stories, is all free. A majority of it is all free. So there's no like real charge or anything if people want to read these stories. But there are other avenues as well. And yes, these other avenues within Palcomix do charge a fee. And this is where you get what's known as like the subdivisions, the subcategories, if you will. And one of the main ones is called Mobius Unleashed. And believe it or not, that's how Palcomix really, I think, got its start, because of the fact that it was mostly known as a home where fans of the adult kind could come in, write stories or type up stories, submit them, and then the artist behind Palcomix would bring those stories to life for everybody to read. And majority of them, like I said, was Sonic comics. But over time, they opened the door and they allowed other franchises like Disney franchises and franchises like Pokemon and Digimon and even My Little Pony Friendship's Magic, as well as, like I said, OCs, which they have under what's known as Fur 34. They opened the door for all of these to happen, to be brought to life, if you will. Like I said, over time, they became popular because the majority of the stories that you could read from them were free. However, over that same time, as I was mentioning, they also ended up charging for certain stories to be accessed. And that's what they would create, like I said, the sub-area called Mobius Unleashed, which at first was primarily meant for exclusive adult Sonic stories that, if you really wanted to have them come to life, you would pay a good amount of money for them to be brought to life, to have your story, I should say, brought to life. But because you paid such a good amount, out and everything, basically they can only be accessed by people in the Mobius Unleashed area, because these might be a little bit more, I guess you could say, longer in story. They might be a little bit more risky, if you will, fetishy, if you will, kind of stuff. But yeah, over time, like I said, they opened up this division, and through Mobius Unleashed, they opened up other divisions within it, like Equestria Untamed, like I said, Fur 34, one based on Digimon, one based on Pokemon, you name it. They opened up all these. And again, what Palcomix has done overall, from what I can tell, is by doing all this, is they've created a home, a place for people to, showcase their talent, not just writing, but also artistically. I mean, the fact that you're bringing writers and artists together with this site, having them collab to bring these stories to life, so people can read them, that's saying that you've accomplished something good, that you've accomplished something good by bringing all these talents together. Now, I know not a lot of people are fans of Palcomix or sites like them. I get it. I get it. Not a lot of people are fans of them. I get that. Not a lot of people are fans. And they have a right not to be. Because it's like, what are you doing? Taking these characters and putting them into these scenarios. Or even, as some people have criticized sites like Palcomix for doing, why would you charge money for this? It doesn't make sense. And again, I think the reason being is what Palcomix is doing. Like I said, it's still opening the door for writers and artists to come together, to collab together on these stories. But what they're also doing is they're allowing those artists and even those writers to have some kind of financial income, income to them, if you know what I mean. They're allowing some kind of financial income to be brought towards those writers and those artists that collab together to bring this to life, so they can have something on the side financially. And to me, that's a good thing. I mean, you look at all these other places that are opening the door to make money from just the comfort of your home, make a living from just the comfort of your home. I mean, YouTube, for example, TikTok, Patreon, ko-fi, if you will, Ka-fi, as they call it, Gumroad. All these places, they're opening up and allowing this to happen. And Palcomix was one of the first. They were one of the first. Now, like I said, I understand people are not particularly fond of it. not just of how they have characters described, not described, but how they have characters portrayed in stories and in pictures and all that, but also the fact that they, on the side, they charge for, access to some of these. And again, the reason they do that is it helps them pay the artists and the writers that contribute to the site. It allows the person that runs the site, along with their team, the ability to not only keep the site up financially, keep it going financially, but also to pay the artists and the writers that help contribute to it. The other thing that I think kind of helps it is it's an international site. Yeah. I mean, I heard basically from somebody that told me about the fact that they joined up with the Mobius Unleashed membership for a month, and that when they looked at the bank statement, it showed, online, when they looked at the bank statement online, it showed, the Mobius Unleashed charged of $25, but then it also showed a sub-international charge. And I think that's what helps protect them, the fact that they are an international site that I think is based mostly in the UK. That's what I think. Now, is some of it based here in the US as well? Absolutely. But I think it's mostly based around the UK and somewhat here in the US. And that's what helps, I think, get them around that curve of, hey, what they're doing is fair. There's nothing wrong with it. They're just making a living, for themselves. They're helping to make a living financially for the writers and the artists that contribute to it, as well as they're using the finances that they get to help keep the site up and maintain it. Now, here's the thing. When you decide to do the memberships, to get access to certain pictures or stories or whatever, does it cost a lot? Absolutely. I mean, you start out at 25 and then you go up into the hundreds, and the 100 one basically gives you, I think, a year access, and you don't have to worry about just monthly, which is 25. But again, like I said, it's not the only site that does these kind of things, all right? Patreon allows people to charge up to how much they want in tiers, so that people can get access to whatever they want. I mean, heck, I have a $1 and a $3 tier right now on Patreon, and I just got paid from that $3 tier. Yeah, it was about 38 cents less than $3, but still, it was something. I still got paid, and that's great. YouTube here, like I said, allows you to, monetize your channel and make money off it. No matter how long, no matter how short, your video is, no matter what kind of topic or discussion or whatever your video may, contain, it still allows you to make money, even if you have to share that revenue. The thing is, sorry about that. But anyway, the thing is, Palcomix in reality is not really doing nothing wrong. Because I think when people would argue about it and try to get them shut down, they would give valid arguments of, hey, we're not doing nothing wrong. Look at the majority of our catalog. It's all free. And what we're doing here, with, the memberships and all that, this is people, they're basically saying people have a choice. They could wait until these comics potentially become free themselves, or they can pay, they get weekly access or monthly access or yearly access to what will be coming down the pipeline every week. Because the thing is, like I said, a lot of the stories that are in those pay sections are weekly descriptions. That's what they are. They're weekly. The free ones, they're not as weekly. I'll put it that one. The free ones are like whenever the person that's commissioning for those stories to be brought to life with their script is able to pay the artist. The ones that are in the pay sections of Mobius Unleashed, Equestria, Untamed, and all that, those are the ones that have already been paid in full, and every week you get a new page, for that story, and you get some new pictures to go along with the additional comic page as well, because they've already been paid for in full. Well, the other ones that are free are more along the lines of, we'll just be patient and see what, the person that's commissioning us, is able to do. If they can financially, give us, give them the payment to take the script and make it, a visual reality. And there are some cases where basically they can't do that. Sometimes they have to say this commission is closed. It's not going to continue because the commissioner decided not to basically pay them anymore, or, give up on it because they financially can't afford it. They would do that kind of stuff. And that's the big difference between the two. That's the big difference. Between the two, even though the free section has a lot of stories, more so than you would get in the pay sections, the big difference in the free one, these are stories that were basically, commissioned, over time, like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. Well, the pay section of Mobius Unleashed and Equestria Untamed and the Pokemon section, Digimon section for 34 are all stories that, in my belief, have already been paid for in full, and thus is why we get weekly additions to them every week. During the duration of the membership that you choose. But yeah, in closing, the thing is, Palcomix, it's going to go down as one of the more popular adult fan service, adult fan fiction sites out there that have allowed adults that grew up with these characters and these franchises to take them in another direction. Another direction that was never possible from an official standpoint. And I'll be honest with you, I know that if I was running a site like that, I'm not saying I would, but I'll tell you this, I couldn't be more prouder of Palcomix for going from where they were when I first found out about them to where they are now. I couldn't be more prouder. Now, are there stories in there of the LGBTQ kind? Oh yeah, there is. Especially, and again I say this with all due respect, no offense, of the lesbian kind. A majority of their LGBTQ stories, and again, no offense, no disrespect, no offense, no disrespect, and all that, all due respect, no offense. A majority of those stories are indeed lesbian LGBTQ, or at least they have some resemblance of it in the stories from what I understand. In fact, I'll tell you this honestly, one of the Sonic fans told me about one story they did with Sally, and when they showed me some of the pictures of what the story was, let's just say LGBTQ incense is not off the table. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. LGBTQ lesbian incense is not off the table. We'll put it that way. But yeah, those are just examples from like what they would explore and everything. And here's the thing. If you financially could afford it, there's no doubt, because I've seen this. Because here's the thing: I had the artist, one of the main artists, one of the main head artists and founders of Palcomix, do me a favor. You see, they needed a core membership several years ago, and I paid for that core membership for them. And that's when this is when Deviant was just starting to do these core memberships. And he thanked me. He said, anything you want, whoever gives me a core membership or something like that, I'm going to draw them something. So I paid for it so I paid the core membership for them because I had the money to do so at the time. And out of the kindness of the heart, they said, okay, what do you want? Just let me know. And I described to them what I want, because I wanted to see at least one thing I would request or commission for them be brought to visual life. And, they gave it to me. And I was happy. And they did a great job with it. in my opinion. They did a great job. But besides that, but like I said, besides that, again, it's got, again, if you pay them enough, if financially you can afford it, there's no doubt they'll give you any kind of story you want, even if it's so unusual that, they're like, man, it'll be the first time I've ever drawn it like this, or I've ever drawn something like that. So, yeah, you pay them well enough, over time, and because again, this is the one thing about Palcomix. If you pay them in full, it's obviously going to go to the Unleashed section, where people that pay, a monthly fee or yearly fee or whatever will get access to a page every week. But if you do it over time, then there's no doubt it's going to be mostly in the free section, because you're taking your time and trying to get it brought to life. Now, of course, just like with any site that grants you, that has, pay sections, if you will, of course you're going to have other sites out there that will, have people that will be part of those pay sites download those pages and then upload them at freer sites and say, here's that page that came out this week. You can now you could look at it without having to pay for anything. So yeah, there are those sites out there too, and honestly, I can't blame those sites or those people for doing that and putting, those pictures or those comment pages on those free sites, because they probably realize, look, what I'm paying is not bad, but nobody else should have to pay it, just to get access and all that. And that's their opinion. That's their opinion. That's why people do this, because they feel that, folks shouldn't have to pay a monthly or yearly fee or whatever option you take just to get access to something that you should get for free. But again, what I look at, folks, is the fact that the reason we have these paid sections is it to help keep the site going, is to help pay the artists and the writers to collab together for these stories. But it's also the fact that most of these stories on those paid sites are paid in full. Yeah, they're paid in full, which is why you get a new page or a new picture every week. You don't have to wait until a month or so before another page on the free section is added on to one of the stories, from what I understand. But anyway, though, I just wanted to come out here and kind of explain what Palcomix is. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. And really, that's about it. So, yeah, if you're interested, check them out. You can find them online. It's Palcomix. You can check them out online. It's Palcomix.com. And I guarantee you, honestly, that you might enjoy what you see. You might enjoy what you see, and you may not enjoy it. But just I come on here and, like I said, tell you what it is, and give that option and choice to you, whether you want to check it out or not. So till next time, though, guys, God bless, take care, and I will talk to y'all later. I am out. But yeah, from what I can tell you from my own personal experience and from what people have told me, this is what Palcomix is, and it's your choice. Whether you want to check it out or not, it's up to you. But until next time, guys, God bless, take care. I am out.